Hi, this is Joe. Normally, I would be here reading poems, reading my poetry, doing readings for you, but I have something different to share. Last night, I was watching some videos on YouTube here, and one really stood out to me. It was about how people, us, in physical form, deal with being in physical form, and how we deal with becoming physical and then at the end of this experience not becoming physical, becoming not physical again, returning to that other state. And in the video it was talking about us choosing our mode of departure. And that really got me thinking. My mind connected some dots there. It got me thinking of an experience that happened to me several years ago. I've had a lot of experiences involving spirits, people not in physical form, people who had previously been in physical form but no longer are, but are still lingering in this world, interacting with this world. Most people would call them ghosts. Call it what you will. It's just people being here but not being physical. I don't see it as a big deal. And I talk to them just the same as I'm talking to you now. And this experience that I had a few years back, somebody came to me. This was just a few days after he had departed from his physical body. And one of the things he told me was he chose to leave his body in that way because if he hadn't done it the way he did, it would have been a very messy, very traumatic experience. He told me that he had a lot of things to do that couldn't be done while he was in physical form. So he had to depart, separate from his body, and continue with what he had going on in spirit, however that works. It's really beyond physical comprehension. While we're in this form, we just can't wrap our thoughts around what goes on when we're not in this form. While he was alive, his last few years, he was a drug addict. And what he told me was he chose to be a drug addict because when he was in that state of being so high that he was in his thoughts and his energies, he was separated from what his body was doing. And he was able to be doing the bigger things that he needed to be doing. Things that are just out of reach of our thoughts. And he was saying that it was time for him to go. And he had a choice to just go by circumstance, let things happen on their own, or choose his own way. And he was shown how it would happen if it happened on its own. He didn't want that to happen. He showed me, gave me mental images of the way that would have been, and yes, it would have been very messy. He would have been hit and killed while crossing a road, would have been hit by a large vehicle, and it would have been a pretty big mess, pretty traumatic for his family and friends to deal with. So he chose his own way of departing. He overdosed on drugs. It was relatively fast. It was painless for him. It was very traumatic for his friends, but nobody around him understood what was going on with him. I didn't know him in physical form. Apparently we had met very briefly at a very crowded event some months prior to this, but apparently that was enough for our energies to connect and identify with each other that we would be able to communicate on this higher level. But it just really struck me as unusual that I'd had that experience. It was, I think, 4 years ago now. And it's coinciding so much with information that has become not completely mainstream, but not as hidden in the shadows as it used to be. I mean, even 4 years ago, people wouldn't have had conversations like this in a public place. Now, you hear of similar type things. It's all over YouTube. It's not unusual to hear it brought up just kind of randomly somewhere. And I think it's interesting that things like this are finally happening, finally becoming part of just the general shared mindset that people as a whole have now. I don't know, it just really struck me as an intense feeling when I made that connection between what happened to me. Because what he told me he had done was exactly what I'd heard described in that video last night. Exactly. It's like yeah, when I saw that video, I wasn't surprised by it. I didn't find it really all that unusual, because that thought of having that experience, being able to do that, was already in my head, because I'd already been in contact with somebody who had done that exact same thing. It just really it feels like something that I just needed to express, just get off my mind. Uh, who knows, at some point this may morph into a poem. I don't know. But I just needed to put it out there. I don't know. It's for you to take in, absorb, make of it whatever you will. Just something to think about. But yeah, things like that really do exist. They do happen. The things that we do, things that we're capable of doing, are far beyond what we realize. I mean, he just matter-of-factly told me that was the way he chose to separate from his body. Wasn't a big deal. It's like, do you want to ride your bike to your friend's house or get in a car and drive to your friend's house? Not a big deal either way. You're still going to get there. Just food for thought. I just felt the need to get this out. Do with it as you will. Thanks for listening, I guess. Well, have a beautiful day.